G'day there guys, Connie here once again from Marquee Industries, and we are back reading some more stories from Reddit. As always, if you enjoy these videos, be sure to hit like and subscribe, as well as the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Alrighty, let's get right into it. Okie dokie, we're on relationship advice. This one was written by user Catyumist Manifesto, and it's titled, My boyfriend grabbed a stranger's ice cream. Can't believe this actually happened. So we were out walking around this evening. He'd mentioned wanting to get ice cream but hadn't brought money, and neither had I. We usually take a walk after dinner and don't buy stuff during it unless we decide beforehand we want to get something that night. So as we're walking past a group of people, he made a sudden movement to the side and then started running in the opposite direction full speed. It was so fast I hadn't seen exactly what he did. People were saying things like, "Holy crap," and "Oh my god." One guy said, "He took my ice cream." And that's when I realized what happened. He frickin' stole this guy's ice cream on a busy street. I was absolutely shocked and mortified. Everyone around us had seen it, or else quickly got told about it. They were staring and pointing down the street where he was still running. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I apologized repeatedly to the man whose ice cream he grabbed, then said I was going to go find him and got myself out of there. Utterly humiliating. Well, he'd nearly made it back to the house in that time. I got there a few minutes later and found he'd been crouched in the stairway, furiously eating the ice cream out of the cup. He scrambled when he heard me coming, dripping ice cream everywhere. Looked like a deer in headlights. He literally left the cup on the stairs and ran away from me up to our apartment. But I had the key, so he was just standing there when I got there. I, of course, demanded an explanation. He had the balls to deny he'd done anything. He insisted he didn't know what I was talking about. I sort of lost it and started yelling at him. The cup is down on the stairs. Your hands and mouth are covered in it. A dozen people literally saw you snatch it right out of a guy's hand. What the frick do you mean you don't know? He then changed his story and said it was just a joke. WTF? He decided to reenact a YouTube prank video on a random stranger? How is that a prank? After I let us inside, I kept asking what makes him think that's okay to do, and he changed the story again. This time, he says he doesn't know why he did it. It was just an urge. I didn't even know what to say, so I told him I needed some time to myself. I'm seriously disturbed. He's got no good reason. This is completely out of character for him. He's always very mild, reserved, and treats people, especially me, very kindly. He's the last person I'd thought would do something like this. What do I do next to figure out what the F that was about? How can I know he's even being honest? Wow, what the? This is bizarre. I'm just imagining him as some sort of animal crouched down over a carcass or something. Like, is he okay? Let's go to the comments. If this isn't a troll post, I think he's mentally ill or has some sort of brain tumor or something. How long have you been together? Either this behavior is new and something became wrong with him, or you need to put more effort into getting to know your partners. Also, check your CO level sensors. I would honestly ask him if he's okay, both financially and mentally. Try not to attack him or make it sound like an accusation. I'm ashamed to say I have been there. I dated a guy for 3 years, late 20s, and one day we were walking out of his apartment and his neighbor was celebrating a birthday and had balloons on the door. Out of the blue, he runs up to the door and pops all the balloons. I was dumbfounded. This behavior made no sense to me and he'd never done anything like it before. He ran down the hall and down the fire escape stairs. I had to run after him because I was embarrassed to be associated with him after that and didn't want his neighbors to see me. I forget what his explanation for his behavior was, but it didn't make sense. Long story short, he is bipolar, amongst other things. I think your significant other is mentally ill. I'm pretty sure of it, actually. Okay, Opie adds an edit in the comments. Adding this to the top comments so anyone still following will see. Last night I asked him again what he was thinking. He said, "Jesus, I don't know, I already told you." I said I couldn't accept that answer because it's not a real answer. I told him we needed to talk about it because, after reading some of the comments last night, I needed to know if something was going on with him mentally. He said it wasn't. I started naming possible things he could be stressed about, like job or family or money, and he said it was all fine. To my knowledge, that's true. If something's going on, then he's hiding it well. He was visibly annoyed by my questioning, and when I eventually asked if he realized how bizarre it was, he snapped, Who effing cares? Please stop bothering me. I'm busy. He was just browsing Facebook. He refused to talk about it anymore after that, but he's been talking about other stuff as normal. It's like he's just pretending it never happened. If it hadn't, there's nothing about his behavior right now that would be weird to me. So now I feel like I'll be crazy if I bring it up anymore. I don't know if I need to just forget about it like he is or what. I'm still stunned and very confused. One comment adds, if he had had a lapse in judgment and thought it was a funny prank, then I feel he would be laughing when you found him and be all like, dude, did you see the look on their faces? Haha, want some ice cream? Instead, the way you wrote it, it sounds like he was furiously eating the ice cream he stole and then ran away from you when he saw you coming, so he wasn't doing it as a joke. The way you wrote it sounds like he was manic, like an animal completely going on instinct. He wanted ice cream that badly that he grabbed someone's ice cream out of their hand, hightailed it home, and started shoveling it down his throat greedily, and then ran away once he saw you coming. That sounds so insane, I don't even know what to say. I think he's probably embarrassed and doesn't want to talk about it. If it was a psychotic episode or something tied to mental illness, I wouldn't expect him to know or realize this. So asking him, did you have a psychotic episode? Do you have a history of mental illness? Isn't going to be very fruitful, and it will just make him more defensive. You have to get to see a professional, but don't be accusatory or make him feel like he's crazy. OP replies, yes, the way you describe it is exactly how it happened. He wasn't laughing at any point. When he was trying to convince me it was a joke, he sounded more defensive and panicky than amused with himself. If I can't tell him about the possibility of a psychotic episode, then how can I get him to see someone? He won't see any reason to go. Okay, OP updates 4 days later. So I finally got the explanation from him yesterday. Turns out he was in a Discord server chat where the members all dare each other to humiliate themselves by doing outlandish things in public they'd never normally do. He told me he's left the group because the experience was really stressful to him, not exciting like he'd thought when he joined. It was the first time he'd taken one of the dares. He said that afterwards he just didn't know what to say and couldn't believe he'd actually done it. He was extremely apologetic for acting like a lunatic, causing me to worry about him. We had a long talk about it last night. I genuinely believe he regrets it. He knows what a stupid F-up it was. Not much else to say really, just wanted to come back now that I got the answers. Thank you to everyone who tried to make sense of it in the original post and who gave me advice for talking with him. One commenter adds, did you actually see the Discord and the chats? Because that doesn't make sense. Usually with challenges and dares there's a camera involved, or else how would the other members know that he did the dare? Your description of events didn't mention either of you having your phones out to record. If there are no videos being posted and it's all based on the honor system that members did the dare, then either your boyfriend is very naive or something else is wrong. OP replies, he was on his phone during the walk. I didn't mention it in the OP because there was no reason to. Now I know he was recording in a non-obvious way. He never posted the video anywhere and it's been deleted. He also left the Discord the same night it happened. This dude is an idiot. The story is so pathetic it's probably true, but why exactly did he lie to you? What adult gets involved with crap like that? What's the next dumb frick thing he's going to try in this quest for excitement? He's 29 years old and he needed to do this because of a dare, and then he gaslighted you? Do yourself a favor and lose this guy. Yeah, honestly, hard to disagree with those final comments. The guy sounds like a loser. I guess it's good that he doesn't have a tumor or anything like that, but man, I was getting third-hand embarrassment from that whole story. What about you guys? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Anyway, we're going to leave that there and move on to another one. Okay, we're over on marriage. This one was written by user Cassie1, and it's titled, My husband fell in love with another woman and wants to try polyamory. Now, new updates for this one, guys, so let's get stuck in. Hi, I've been married to my hubby for 4 years and we've been together for 12 years. After lots of financial struggles, we bought a house and we're now planning to get kids. The thing is, a few months ago, my husband fell sick and had to stay home for a while. He decided to pick up an online game and started having weekly sessions with a group of players. Among them is a girl, 30, I think, and long story short, he fell in love with her. He broke down crying a month ago and admitted it. He told me it built up so gradually he didn't understand how he felt until it was too late. They started texting privately after meeting and eventually had one-on-one calls together. Then at some point, he said, she told him she was in love with him and he realized it was mutual. He said he told her it was impossible but loved her too. They tried to just be friends, but they couldn't resist and continued to show affection for each other. He showed me the texts, but also ventured into sexting. She asked if she could meet him face to face, but he refused. So he told me all of this, apologized over and over again, and told me he couldn't control himself, and while he loved us both, it was me he would choose no matter what. I was still very upset and slept at a friend's that night to gather my thoughts. I decided to forgive him because he clearly felt guilt and wanted to work it out. I told him that while I was deeply hurt, I still appreciated him coming forward to me and being honest about what happened. We got into a long conversation about how we were feeling in our relationship. I accepted he could love someone else, but said I didn't like how he handled it. He agreed. And then yesterday he asked if I was comfortable opening up the marriage to polyamory. He said he still wanted to live with me and have kids, but can't erase nor ignore the feelings he has for her. He says he wants to do it right and let us both see other people with clear boundaries and communication and still be present for one another. I'm going to be honest, it made me very uncomfortable at first. We have several friends who are poly. I know more or less how it works, but I never really thought about getting into it myself. I'm not against it, it just never crossed my mind before. I'm trying to think it through, but it's a lot to take in. Sorry, my writing is probably messy because it's kind of hard to focus. I guess it's too early to decide and we have a lot more to discuss beforehand, but still. Could you guys give me your opinions on this? Thanks a lot. Yeah, I feel like out of all the poly kind of stories I read, the decision between the couple to become poly shouldn't start because there's someone else already in the picture. It should be a mutual decision that happens naturally without any other feelings involved. At least that's what I think. Let's go to the comments. I'd be divorcing so fast. So he cheated and now wants to be able to keep cheating by calling it poly. Lol, come on. Do not have kids with this man for the love of God, and if you have any self-respect, you'll be serving him divorce papers soon as possible. Sorry your husband is a cheating ass. You got married under the assumption you would remain monogamous. He is trying to fundamentally change the nature of your relationship. If I were you, I would drop any attempts at conceiving and figure out your next steps. Personally, I would not stay with someone who desired an open relationship. You need to decide if it's something you're willing to entertain or not. Okay, onto an update. First off, sorry I didn't reply to all your comments. I'm very thankful for them. They helped me realize hard but fair truths about the whole situation. I waited for a bit to think about it all and had multiple long discussions with my husband. I wanted to confront him before making a final decision. To answer some of your questions, the other girl wanted to meet him, but they never did. Partly because my husband refused, but honestly, mostly because she lives too far from here. I still got checked for STDs though, and I'm clean, yay. As for our polyamory friends, they apparently were the ones who suggested him to go down the polyamory road. I stopped talking to them for now. I'll deal with the bigger problem first. I told him his actions hurt me deeply, and that while I appreciated him admitting his affair, it was still infidelity. I told him what you guys said, that turning it into polyamory was merely greenlighting the affair after the fact, that polyamory should be built on mutual trust and communication, which he already broke, that I didn't feel respected. It destroyed him. He said he already knew deep down, but didn't want to admit it, neither to me nor to himself. We both screamed and cried a lot. He finally admitted he wanted to open the marriage for selfish reasons. He is very sorry. He cut off contact with the other girl, let me fully access his computer and phone, and now wants to go to counseling to repair our relationship and marriage. He's showing me a lot of affection and attention since then, although he admits himself it's sometimes out of guilt and not just out of pure love. And now I want to make it work too, but am I? Or is it sunk cost fallacy? I don't know. Our first session is in 2 months, the earliest we could get, and every day I change my mind. Literally yesterday I wanted to leave him. Well, today I think it's worth giving it a try. Because we've known each other for so long, we understand each other on a very deep level, share a lot of interests, and have already built so much together. He was there for me during hard parts of my life. He took responsibility for his actions and is really trying. Plus, if I leave him, I'd have to start my life nearly from scratch, find a new place to live, go back into dating for the first time in 12 years. I don't want to lose everything. It sounds very hard and scary. Am I not too old for this? But at the same time, that's a form of denial, isn't it? It doesn't matter if those years were good. It's not going to be the same. Even if he gains my trust back, even if I forgive him, I'll never forget. I think he is genuinely remorseful, but isn't it too late for that? I'm too empathetic. Him being present now doesn't erase what was done. But I want to stay, not because I still believe in this relationship, but because don't have the strength to ask for a divorce. Because it's the easy choice. Some kind of codependency. I have no idea. I can picture both paths clearly, and it's tearing me apart. I'm lost, maybe even more than I was when I wrote my previous post. I've lost sleep and appetite, and I'm not sure I enjoy anything in my life anymore. I booked an appointment with a psychologist for me alone to help with this whole thing. I'm sorry, at this point I'm rambling. I know I'm the only one who can decide what's okay and comfortable for me or not. It's ultimately my choice, and my choice only. The emotional hell I'm going through just makes thinking about that choice very hard and paralyzing. I'll go to both therapies and try to see what to do from here. I'll try to update, but it's probably going to take a while. I'm sorry. I want to thank you again for your support, and I'm sending you guys a lot of love. Edit. A couple of infos I should have mentioned but didn't because putting all of that into writing without omitting something is much harder than I thought. He cut off contact with her because once he told him he was married and wanted us both, she just ran away and broke up with him. There are times since then where my husband starts feeling sad or angry because of what's basically withdrawal, and for that he's at least sensible enough not to blame me. What kind of marriage did we have before this crisis? I'll sound so naive. It's my first and only romantic relationship. We were very close and basically grew as adults together. We could talk about anything and understand each other. We shared the same values and interests. What changed, I think, is that we got into a routine and he got bored. During our argument, he said he was addicted to the attention the girl was giving him and that he felt I didn't show him I was in love with him enough anymore. I told him that even if it was true, he should have told me instead of having an affair. On one hand, I have my faults too, and I could accept this as one of them. On the other, I was taking care of him in the house while he was sick. I don't think he believes it. I don't think he means it, but it makes me wonder whether I was actually a good wife for him, even though I'm not responsible for his actions. Thanks again for your support, y'all. It's a lot to process, but it helps me so much. Opie comments on if she and her husband have kids and plan on getting counselling. Kids are off the table. If we do go into counselling and it goes exceptionally well, maybe we'll talk about it, but for now, the distrust is already there. He says I love you, but I never know whether it's to regain my trust or whether he means it or not. Even if he does he love me, or is it a lie he tells himself? One comment says, if you choose to stay, don't be surprised if in a year you find him talking to someone again. Cheaters are sneaky. They'll show remorse and swear they've changed. Meanwhile, they're smirking inside because they've started a new affair and think they can get away with it this time. Opie says, thank you, it's obvious and well known. Once a cheater, always a cheater, but reading it helps me fight denial. I really need to break up with him, if not for myself, just to show him that actions have consequences. Yeah, 100%. Okay, moving on to another update. Hey, I hope you're all doing well. Original post here and previous post here. A huge amount of things happened since then. I'll quickly summarize. Feel free to check my profile if you want to know more. It was a very, very unpleasant ride. So, soon-to-be ex-husband had an emotional affair online and tried to make me greenlight it by asking for an open marriage, where we'd be allowed to have side adventures. I refused and his affair partner dumped him. He begged me to try to reconcile with him, to which I agreed, while I was actually trying to prepare my exit. We both went to individual therapy and still am. We separated temporarily 3 times, but every time I came back it went terribly. He was desperate. He kept trying to cross my boundaries, love-bombing me, playing the victim. asking to touch me even though I established I didn't want to, threatening to kill himself if we were to divorce. I could go on and on. This made me finally realize, along with my therapist's help, a lot of self-reflection and my exchanges on Reddit, that I was in an abusive relationship, which is an important part, actually the most important part, of this update. Please look up definitions and examples of abuse, because I had no idea that what my husband had been doing all these years, even before the affair, counted as such. In his case, it was psychological abuse, manipulation, gaslighting, guilt-tripping, blame-shifting, emotional blackmail, nothing aggressive or mean, which turned me into a very submissive partner over the years, always catering to his needs while erasing mine. I rationalized everything. It happened subtly and gradually, and I was too naive to see it for what it was. His emotional affair and open marriage proposal were the natural continuity of that. Of course, the more I tried to get away from him, the more manipulative he got. Now that I was aware of it, I knew what he was doing. But fighting years of conditioning, even if you recognize it and succeed, is effing exhausting and disarming. So, earlier today, I brought a friend home to assist me. We sat down, the three of us, and I told my husband we were over, and I handed him the papers. It might sound dumb, but it's genuinely one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. I was terrified. Yet he agreed. He repeatedly asked me if I was sure. He reminded me of the family we were planning to have and of our best memories together. Was it all for nothing? Apparently yes. He was heartbroken, clearly mad and frustrated, but still, he agreed. He signed them and went back to his parents for now. We still have to go through the whole procedure, separate our assets, decide what to do with the house and all, and he still wants us to go to marriage counseling. But right now, I feel free for the first time in months. The last hours have been a mix of tears, celebration, and godly, restful sleep. And I have to thank you guys again, because my first Reddit post was the wake-up call I needed to eventually, finally, get here. Better late than never, I guess. Thank you so much. A lot of love to you all. One comment says, quote, he reminded me of the family we were planning to have and of our best memories together. Was it all for nothing? Apparently yes, he was heartbroken. That's a special kind of a-hole. Was it all for nothing after cheating on his partner? He sounds like an insufferable dickhead, honestly. Congrats on your freedom. OP replies, I know, right? The hypocrisy, the nerves of this man. The worst part is that he appears very charming to everyone who knows him, myself included. Hell, a lot of the people from our circle who are aware of what he did still think he's a good person who just lost himself for a while. I guess it's hard to accept the ones we love can be terrible people too. You have been through a long, hard journey, and it will take a while yet, but you're investing in yourself and your health and happiness. Good for you. Continue self-care and practice safety and security. Slow down and heal so that you'll be strong and ready to seek and recognize true love. Wishing you a joyous future. You can do this. Opie says, thank you. I'll do my best. I like to think the hardest part is behind me, but this story taught me to expect the worst. Whatever happens though, from now on, it's me first. I deserve love and happiness, and I'll fight for it. Now onto the new and final update so far. My previous post should have been the final update. I wish, God I wish, but no, of course not. Of course it got worse again. F my life. After my soon-to-be ex-husband signed the divorce papers, we went no contact, or at least I tried to. He still sent me text messages, voice messages, and tried to call me multiple times. He even sent me a long letter full of statements such as, I'm concerned that your mental health is deteriorating. I believe you need antidepressants to help you feel like yourself again. Or, your trauma is understandable, but it probably makes you want to punish me by making irrational decisions, like divorce. Or, I am afraid you are surrounding yourself with questionable influences that have bad agendas. Please let me help you see it through. He claimed that the crisis was just as hard for him as it was for me. People told me he was escalating and that I should protect myself. I should have listened immediately, but I didn't react soon enough. Then he came to our street. He arrived uninvited and pleaded with me to give him a second chance. He said he wanted to be there for me and for us, insisting that he didn't deserve any of this. I started to feel distressed. He saw that I was unwell and wanted to comfort me, so he hugged me, but I didn't want to be touched. I'm pretty sure I told him no. I think I screamed no multiple times, but my memory is fuzzy. Either I misremember or I did say no and he ignored it and didn't stop. I know it's just a hug, but it triggered a severe panic attack. He called emergency services, telling them he was worried about me because I wasn't myself. I had to ask the paramedics to make him leave. After that, he told me he was there for me if I needed him, but he thought we needed space. He contacted half our social circle to inform them that I was unwell and needed support. Our mutual friends, my colleagues, our neighbours, my physician. People reached out of the blue to ask if I was okay. I became paranoid, unsure of who to trust anymore. Close friends, my therapist, and people here helped me see things more clearly. My lawyer filed a restraining order against him, but unfortunately it was refused. Not enough concrete evidence of a threat, apparently. I want to scream. We submitted a second request, which is currently being reviewed. In the meantime, I've moved into an apartment of my own. He doesn't know where I live. Hell, almost nobody does. I constantly wonder how he reacted when he found out. I'm still paying my half of the mortgage because nothing has been decided regarding our house yet. It's financially very hard for me, but I do feel safer. I'm feeling much better, although I remain haunted by constant stress, sleep disorders, nightmares, nervous tics, random bursts of tears, and rushes of anxiety. My physician prescribed me sedatives. They do make it easier. I realize I'm isolating myself more and more. I try to fight it, but I'm really afraid that sensitive information could leak, even accidentally. I've started reaching out to my closest friends again, as much as I can. I'm trying to come back here on Reddit. I keep going to therapy. It's necessary. Because one part of me, the part he cultivated for so long, urges me to stop all of this, to go back to the house, cancel the restraining order, cancel the divorce, call him, apologize, and repair our relationship. It would be insane. I'm not going to do that. I do not listen to that little voice. I don't. But when your defenses are attacked over and over again, it becomes incredibly hard to reason properly. I can't wait for the divorce to be over. I just want to move on. I want all of this to be behind me. I'm sorry this is bleak. I wish I would have left sooner. I just hope this can help someone. Anyone. Someone comments Opie needs to get cameras for her new place. I already have a Ring doorbell. I'm waiting for this month's salary, which should probably arrive today or tomorrow, to buy additional cameras. I also got my landlord's authorization to add latches to the door. I hope this will help. Opie talks with her therapist about how manipulative her ex is. My therapist is aware. She stopped putting gloves on a while ago and straight up says his behavior is abusive. She encouraged me to move out and gave me a lot of grounding and breathing exercises to help me when it gets overwhelming. As I said in another comment, I'll see if I can find someone else, maybe specialized in trauma, but the waiting lists can be very long here. I've been journaling for a few months now, and it's true that it helps, a lot. As for my friends, I have a couple ones I really trust, and they already know everything. I'm trying to find a balance between venting to them about all of this and keeping some lighter, positive interactions. Anyway, thanks for your support. It means a lot to me. His current tactic of convincing everyone that she's mentally unstable so he can stop the divorce and force her to come back is diabolical. I hope she's got a plan in place with her therapist to vouch for her. He's alienating her from her support system, and it kinda worked because Opie doesn't know who to trust. You can see he tried it way before. 1. Love bombing her is always a sign of abuse. Opie won't be able to find others who can give the level of love bombing an abuser gives, but it's only because the abuser wants the victim to forget the negative sides of the relationship. It's like a drug that says, stomach the abuse or risk losing the love I give. 2. When Opie brought a friend for the divorce papers, she was obviously distressed, but he is so pliant and normal and signed it without a fuss, only to say later on that she had bad influences surrounding her. He needs to appear good to others while abusing her behind doors. 3. Calling the paramedics because of panic attack. That is the level of fear Opie has. I'm glad she was able to ask the paramedics to make him leave. A normal person who saw an ex break down in panic, assuming that normal person ain't the reason for it, would contact 3 people in this situation. The parents, the bestie, and work, if it seemed like work would be an issue. But no. He contacted everyone to present the idea that he cares so much about her. Bullcrap. He knows it would be easy for his reputation to take a hit because even the professionals asked him to go away. He knows she could say he's an abuser and have a lot of evidence, especially since she was screaming and others might have heard, and he was afraid for himself, so he had to send out that message. If he was afraid for her, which with his action of stalking alone disproves that, then he would have contacted just those 3 people who needed to know, and no one else. 4. Since their mutual friends seem to not know how dire the situation was, he is trying to recruit them to his side of worst comes to worst. That is why, instead of confiding about the divorce and just saying to let her be, or be there for her, it seems like he's asking everyone to check on her, to tire her out more, to make her more panicky, to confuse her in the middle of all these things. And 5, he's basically telling everyone she's crazy. He wants her to lose friends, and he knows her all too well. Opie's last post, wherein she says she's so tired and wants to cancel everything, the abuser knows that. The abuser knows Opie will arrive at that point, and that's why he keeps doing it more. God, I hope that restraining order can be put in place. Yeah, me too. Things got pretty scary in that last update. I'll keep an eye out for any more, but yeah, that's where we sit right now. What do you think about that story? Let me know your thoughts down below. Anyway, we'll leave that one there and move on again. Alrighty, we're on Am I the A-hole? This one was written by user Miserable Article, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for not supporting my wife's decision to punish our son and letting him go to a party that will be tonight? This is a throwaway, but this involves some absolute high school drama nonsense that someone my age shouldn't have to deal with, but maybe I'm tripping and missing something, so here I am. I, 45 male, share a daughter, 17, and son, 15, with my wife, 41. My wife's best friend, 40, has 2 daughters, 18 and 15. My wife's best friend moved to our town about 6 years ago. My wife and her best friend have been not so subtly pulling for the 2 15-year-olds to end up together. I find this weird and low-key creepy. About 2 years ago, wife's boyfriend's youngest daughter appeared to have developed a crush on our son. My son talked to me about it and he had zero interest, so we discussed how to tactfully but firmly let her down. She has approached him again a number of times over the last couple of years, and he has reaffirmed his lack of interest. This past summer, my wife's best friend's oldest daughter turned 18. Her parents went all out for her birthday. It was a whole weekend of festivities and events. One of the events was a couple's dinner for the oldest daughter and all her friends and couples. The younger daughter of wife's best friend wanted to go to the dinner, but did not have anyone to go with. She asked my son, and he agreed to go, but only as friends and just this one time. So they went together. After the dinner, the couples all watched 10 Things I Hate About You together. It was my son's first time seeing it, and he commented that he thought that Heath Ledger's singing scene was cool. This is important later. My business partner, 44 male, every year for the last 5 years throws a huge Halloween party. All our employees are invited, along with close friends and family. The party requires a costume, and at this party there are prizes for best individual costume, group costume, and couples costume. My wife's best friend and her family are obviously invited every year. This year, the Halloween party is tonight, October 26th. So let me get to the reason I'm here. About a month ago, my son is at school, and comes towards him is my wife's best friend's younger daughter with a whole song and dance routine. She ends it by asking him to be her date for the Halloween party. My son was so frustrated and reiterated for everyone to hear that he is not interested in her like that at all. Of course, it being high school, some kids laughed and she ran off crying. She's been bullied pretty badly because of it. My wife's best friend is livid and thinks our son owes her daughter an apology. My wife agrees and thinks, at a minimum, he needs to defend her against the bullying. My son has said that for 2 years he has told her he is not interested and reiterated it over and over. At this point, he thinks it's kind of harassing to him, and it's not his role to defend her harassment of him. I agree with my son. My wife and I have had a number of disagreements about it since it happened. Well, things have intensified in the last couple of weeks or so because another girl, who wife's best friend's daughter apparently does not like, asked our son to be her date for the party and he agreed. They're doing a pretty dope couple's costume. This has really ticked off my wife because she thinks he should at least not go to the party with another girl out of respect. I think that's ridiculous. I plan on driving them to the party with me. My wife now does not want to go to the party and is saying I'm an a-hole and raising our son to be one. So, am I the a-hole? Man, I hate when I hear these stories about mums and their friends trying to matchmake their kids together. It's, like Opie said, pretty weird. But yeah, maybe once or twice you could brush it off and be like, not interested, but 2 years of this? Yeah, come on, I don't blame the son here. Let's go to the comments. Does the girl's father know what's going on regarding the situation? He's not being mentioned in the post. Opie says, the girl's own father agrees with me. He hasn't said it to his wife because he doesn't want to ruffle feathers in his house, but he fully agrees with me. He's told his own daughter multiple times to leave my son alone. Opie should leave his wife if she isn't taking their son's side over the whole situation. Opie says, in a marriage, with certain exceptions, you do not just get up and walk out the door over fights. She isn't actively harming our son. She had one conversation with him about where he stated his position. I then defended his position, and her and I alone have been fighting about it since. He is no longer in the conflict. It's between us now. But I'm not going to break up my family just that quickly. That is insane. So you'd think it's crappy parenting to try and resolve conflicts rather than immediately leaving? Good to know. In no way will that make kids afraid of what might happen if they have a conflict with their parents. I'm showing my son I'm willing to go to the mat for him. Leaving says I'd rather not be bothered with the problem. It frees me from the conflict, but it does absolutely nothing for him. That is still his mother. And Opie responds to multiple comments regarding needing to teach his son to stand up for himself and others within close circles. I am usually in favour of that type of viewpoint. The issue here is virtually every considerate act my son has taken towards her over the last 2 years has only ever invited more requests and pushiness from her about dating. My son has a generally over-accommodating personality. This is really the first time since he was little that he's pushed back with force. I think it's necessary here to stay pat. Alrighty, Opie updates almost 3 weeks later. Given the events of the past couple of weeks, I thought I would give an update. My wife did not come to the Halloween party. I took my son and his friend, and they had a great time. Unfortunately, only came in fourth in the couple's costume voting. After the party, tensions with my wife died down considerably. She still felt what I did was wrong, but she took a what is done attitude. The bullying at the school has gotten more intense. Apparently, my wife's best friend's daughter confronted the girl who my son did take to the Halloween party. That escalated the bullying from other girls, and 2 factions have formed among the girls in 2 grades over this, and it's gotten out of hand. Apparently, some accusations have been thrown around about cheating at my son by various girls. My son has been unbothered because all his truly good friends know the truth. Last Friday, we got a call from the school wanting to meet with us about the situation since my son was the source, their words, not mine, of the issues. We met with some of the administration and one of the teachers on Tuesday. They wanted my son to help the situation by defending my wife's best friend's daughter to their classmates. He refused and talked extensively about her harassing behaviour over the past 2 years. They pushed against his description of her conduct, but we ended the meeting with my son promising to provide a list of her harassment over the past 2 years. Tuesday evening, my son prepared the list and showed his mother and I. When my wife saw the list, it was like scales fell from her eyes. She got pretty emotional, apologised to our son, apologised to me, and we had a good group hug. She's now 100% on our side. She asked our son if she could share the list with her best friend, and my son agreed. My wife's best friend's response was to double down. My wife is going low contact for the time being. On Wednesday, we took the list to the school. It is a private school and has a strict code of conduct for students in and out of school, so there's a possibility best friend's daughter might have some type of punishment for her behaviour. I took my son out of school for the day and we hung out all day, just dropped him back off at school today, so this is the update. Edit, I want to add something I said in the comments. My mum for years was a counsellor. One thing she taught me is that repentance and forgiveness are not events but processes. Also that in order for a relationship to be restored, there must first be repentance from the wrongdoer. In light of that, a practice she had our family do was to write letters when one of us caused harm to another. The letter includes, in detail, 1. The wrong the person has committed, 2. The resulting harm that was done, 3. The immediate actions that will be taken to mitigate the harm, and 4. the long-term actions being taken to mitigate the harm and ensure the action is not repeated. My wife is currently working on her letter. The person who receives the letter can respond and request that additional actions be taken to address the harm done. My wife knows she's only at the beginning of the process and that it's going to take time. Yeah, an interesting process to adopt after things like this. What about you guys? Do you have a similar kind of thing you do? Let me know. Anyway, it's good that the mum's on their side now. I think it would be a little harsh if they punished the girl because of this. I mean, she's a hormonal teenager. We all did stupid things like this when we were teenagers. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. That's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed those stories. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.